music. It was so catchy. I was like doing chores while like humming it, and my boyfriend was like, "What is that tune?" And I would be like, "It's the background music of an OTOME game I was playing." Hello everyone, it's Luli, and today I'm going to be doing a review video on the OTOME game Belle Automata. Now, before I start, note that although I would not consider any of what I'm including in this video spoilers, I'm aware that what you consider spoilers and what I consider spoilers may not quite align, so if you've been a little bit sensitive and you don't even want to know what's on the website, for example, then I would swiftly move on. But anyway, let me start. So firstly, I would like to thank my patrons for helping support me continue to make videos for this channel, as well as Mazka and Koenaroto version for the YouTube membership and Twitch subs. I truly appreciate it. Also, question of the day. Who is your favorite heroine or main character? Of course, reply in the comments below and it will help you kind of gauge like who people tend to like more, which is quite interesting, I think. But moving on to the plot. So this is Belle Automata Chronicle 1. 2 and 3 will come out depending on whether you are able to support this game or not. So hear me out and listen to this video because trust me, this game is worth it. Basically the world is in this futuristic world where androids exist. Androids are regarded more as tools or, you know, things to use in order for like different purposes. Unfortunately, however, or fortunately, I guess, some develop emotions and are referred to as rogue androids. Now, of course, the main character was bought of like about like 60 years or so probably, I can't remember, something around those lines, in order to help her master with like making tapestries, making clothes, sort of textile based work to help with the shop. However, humans naturally die and then androids continue living on, and what happens is, despite Aureve sort of developing emotions and being a rogue android, once the master dies, the family just sees her as this machinery and then sells her off. Fortunately for Aureve, she is bought by the master of this household, who seems to be kind of helping out rogue androids, I guess, like creating a safe space for them, and that's where she ends up and starts her life. So that's kind of like the way it begins. Now, the system is that it's kind of like the common route was quite short, which is about 20 minutes, which for me, I quite like, because I like common routes to be quite short and sweet and straight to the point, so that was good. And each of the love interests sort of took from 4 to 5 hours, depending on whether you kind of skip and read through or whether you actually listen to the voice actors, which, may I add, this game is fully voiced, and I mean like English voice and professionally like amazing level voice, so keep that in mind. And yeah, so there are 2 love interests currently, as only Chronicle 1 is out, which each have 3 endings. And as I said, they're fully voiced and they do an amazing job, especially because they're androids, the voice actor does a really good job, but they do like this effect on top of it, which makes them sound like androids, and oh, I love it so much. As for, you know, whether there's love catch or not, which is the signs that appear when you've picked the right or wrong answer, they don't have that, unfortunately, but there is a walkthrough online which can easily be used, and there is a skip read function, which is quite quick. So though there is no skip to next function that I'm aware of, please correct me if I'm wrong, someone out there, but as far as I'm aware, it doesn't. But the skipping is quite quick, and that wasn't too much of a bother for me. So the heroine Aureve is a little like Cardia from Code Realized, and may I just add that she is like the main charm point for me of this game. I adore her because of like her behavior, the way she thinks. Everything about her is adorable, and I really liked sort of seeing her learn things and put them into action, much like, you know, Cardia from Code Realized. She like thinks and like puts things into action, and I like that in a main character. And also I also thought it's fun seeing her gradually awaken to different emotions, because of course, she already, thinks on her own, has her own feelings, and because she's a rogue android. However, by falling in love, there are different things that kind of happen that she's unsure about. Like, for example, her heart core buzzing at an increased rate. And you know what? I love the fact that these androids refer to like their body parts as like different things, and it really adds to the world of this futuristic android setting because of these little things that they add. Like, oh, I'm very good with my maintenance, I oil my finger like joints regularly or whatever, for example. And I thought that really added to it. And as I put here, she's just simply adorable. And another thing that I thought was really cool is that she is, representing black people, because you don't get many black main characters. You've got so many like Asian ones out there, but never do you get a black main character. And I think that's great because, it's adding to diversity, it's representing more people, and just, I don't know, as you can tell, I am very happy about Aureve. And yeah, I'm gonna stop before I do like a 20-minute presentation on Aureve. Now, the first love interest is the Nightmare Prince. So this is the master of the house. Now, when I heard he's called the Nightmare Prince, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, is this guy like, got Chunibyo or something? Like, what a name. I'd say his route is definitely kind of like a slow burn route, because you don't really get to see him until like probably 3/4 of the way into the route. So for some people, this may feel a little bit slow, but what I liked was how this guy never appears in front of anyone, apart from Victor, who is his butler and carer, I guess, and his older brother. But he rarely ever makes an appearance. He doesn't even like talking. He like eavesdrops on the other androids and stuff, but he really likes to talk. But Aureve manages to gradually chip away at that little wall, and finally breaks into his heart, and then they fall in love. And I don't know, they really do a good job at like showing the gradual attraction between the two. And with this route, I felt kind of like watching, two teenagers fall in love. So like, think of it as a young love, sort of blossoming between these two, android and person. And it almost seemed like they had met on an MMO and then fell in love, and then they finally meet. Like, that's kind of how it felt. And I must say, however, there is a good reason as to why he's hidden away. And this route is definitely the much angstier one of the two available. So, if you like angst, then this may be the route for you. Next up is Victor. He was my favorite out of the two, to be honest. Like, I just really liked him because at the beginning, it feels like you're dating Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory or something. He is just simply so robotic. You're like, is this android really capable of being a love interest? And it makes me laugh because the way he talks, his behavior, everything, it's so spot on. He's just so uptight. But then as Aureve spends time with him, you kind of gradually notice why he is a rogue android and not like an android, because he does exhibit behaviors that are clearly based on his own sort of thoughts, his own emotions. And I just thought it was such a fun and entertaining thing watching this tsundere butler having to like kind of understand what he's feeling, because both Aureve and Victor have never fallen in love before, so they're both struggling, trying to understand why their heart core is increasing and why they're having to put the fan on to decrease their temperature and things like that. And watching Victor like so troubled all the time and confused, I just loved it so much. It was like watching a rom-com. And there are some very unique things about two androids falling in love that sort of you can learn with time over this route. And I thought it was a really unique experience because, you know, often you do get androids as the main character and then, like, you know, them falling in love with a human, but I don't think it's very common to kind of sort of describe two androids falling in love. I haven't personally come across that. Usually the main character is human falling in love with an android, or the main character is an android falling in love with a human. I don't really see the combination of two androids. So yeah, it was definitely refreshing, and I liked how it was depicted. As you can tell, I really liked it, and there were so many moments I was laughing. I had butterflies in my stomach because they're so cute. Like, Victor does so many cute things. Okay, anyway. Now, from here onwards, I am showcasing the love interests that we are going to miss out on if we don't reach the pledge of this Kickstarter. And, you know, I'm going to be really sad, and so will all the other fans of this game out there. So do please check the demo out of this game, because honestly, I personally think it's worth it. But yeah, let me start talking to you about the potential love interests if we manage to reach the pledge. So Zaffre is this idol kind of love interest. He's very like happy, he's very like upbeat, he's always talking about music, and like, think of your stereotypical idol boy. And that's what Zaffre is. But what happened is Zaffre was replaced by an upgrade, and I guess he feels very sad about that. I guess due to his nature of just being a pop star, he is a bit lazy, and Victor's like constantly telling him off, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, it's an I really would like to know what an android mixed with pop star is kind of gonna be like. I don't know, because obviously I haven't come across that, so I'm wondering how the route would go. And yeah, I don't know whether this would be an angsty or comical route. I'm not sure. My guess is it'll be more like a rom-com, because apparently like each character leans more towards like a rom-com or more towards the angsty route. So I'm like, which one is he gonna be? I'm not sure. Next up is Diego. I want him as a love interest so bad. Even in Chronicle 1, he kept on popping up, and there's just something about him. I think it's because he's like so head in the clouds, but he says things straight to the point and like in your face, and he just, I don't know, there's just something about him, and I feel like there's something off about him too. And even here it says, the handyman of the house with a mask of cheer, Diego holds a secret, right? What secret is it? And he can fix anything if only he could fix himself. And I'm like, so are you saying that this character's like broken inside? Because obviously I'm a sucker for characters like that. But anyway, I really hope, yeah, I just want to know what he's going to be like as a love interest. I feel like, judging by this little description, I reckon he would be a more angsty route. So yeah, I guess hopefully we will find out. Then you've got Klaus, who was another interesting one. He reminded me a little bit from Kent from Amnesia. He's a bit weird and odd and does strange things, but he's a doctor that kind of comes along for diagnostics and things like that. So I guess like an android doctor, and he does research as well, and he's always like wondering about things, wanting, you know, confused, and like Aureve does go to him for help when she, you know, is unsure about why her heart core is running at a faster speed, that sort of thing. So it's quite entertaining to watch Klaus give some advice in his very awkward way to Aureve as well. And I would truly love to see him as a love interest. And I feel like he'd be a rom-com type. I don't know, because he does like do really funny things in the other routes too. Then last but not least, you've got Roman. I'd say he's probably the most masculine character out of all of them. He's the older brother of the Nightmare Prince, and he like gives off like this really mature vibe about him, and kind of like even Aureve, I think, feels like, or sees him a little bit like an older brother in the Nightmare Prince's route, and maybe even Victor's route as well, because he's often there giving her advice from a human perspective. And I don't know, I really, yeah, I think he'd be pretty cool too. I'm curious to know about his relationship with his parents, because that's a topic that constantly comes out. I'm not going to go into too much detail because that would be spoilers, but I am curious about their, like, his relationship with them. Um, and what guilt hides behind his endearing smile is what it says here. So I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it'll be an angsty route. This will definitely be an angsty route, I think. And I'm sort of like, yeah, I love angst. So saying that, I did like Victor's route more than the Nightmare Prince. And that was because I found Victor so funny. So I don't know. But anyway, those are the characters that hopefully we will not miss out on. Now, moving on to who I would and would not recommend this game to. I would recommend this game to those who enjoy sci-fi and futuristic settings and like the idea of androids and like this sort of thing. Like if you're into that vibe, then this is perfect. Of course, if you adore a proactive main character, because you know, the main reason I like this game is because of this main character, Aureve. She is just proactive is, yeah, probably the good word to describe her, and just she's always trying to learn, and I love that about her. I would also recommend it if you want like a mix of funny and sad. I personally like this balance because like you can play one route and feel a bit like upset or sad about it, but then you can always play the funny route to kind of almost cheer yourself up. So I do like that kind of balance. And I would also truly recommend it if you're curious about how androids fall in love and like the steps and like how it all happens and like seeing that sort of development. I would recommend it to you because like honestly, I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was really fun seeing that sort of slow development. It was just nice, especially from an android's perspective. So yeah, those are the people I'd recommend this game to. I would not recommend this game, however, to those who are looking for something more contemporary, so something like going to high school or going to work, or, you know, or if you're looking for like historical fiction, for example, because like this is very like, you know, in the future type of thing. And yeah, so you know, it's just different genres, right? I also wouldn't recommend it if you're someone who like needs something to be like fast paced constantly to be able to kind of pay attention, because this game, the beauty is extremely on how you really see realistically the way the emotions develop between the characters. So they do kind of go deep into that, as opposed to think like, you know, the character suddenly being in love with whoever and you're not quite sure when that happened type of thing. It's not really like that. It is like a slow development kind of thing. So if you're the type of person that prefers that and prefers it when like things constantly happening, then this may not be for you. And I would also not recommend it if you're looking for more love interest, because obviously this currently only has 2. Obviously if the Kickstarter is successful, we'll have 6 love interests, but so far it's only 2, so I guess I wouldn't recommend it unless, you know, you're happy with 2. I personally am happy because it means like, I guess you kind of finish or complete the game quicker, less likely to feel burnt out, that sort of thing. But yeah. Now, my general thoughts and rating, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Both routes were extremely wholesome, and you kind of felt very like warm and fuzzy, like you're watching over, you know, as Cupid or something, making sure that they're both like falling in love with each other and growing as 2 people, one android and one person, or 2 androids, or I don't know. It was that kind of love, and it was so sweet. I definitely preferred Victor over Prince. I think the Prince's route really was a slow burn, and I completely understand why that is the case. But I think I just enjoyed watching Aureve with Victor constantly like working together and seeing her, you know, attraction build with him, like more interesting than the Prince route, where it did feel a lot more about like the plot of him, his backstory, that sort of thing. Again, I know I've said this already, but I really like the balance of sad and funny. It's really nice to have both, because sometimes just sad can be a bit exhausting, and sometimes just happy, or it's not as like, I don't know, emotional. So I thought it was great in that they did a good job balancing it. Lastly, the final verdict. I would give the story a 4 out of 5. I thought the way it was portrayed, the world building, the how things happen was really good. I really enjoyed it. I'd give the characters 3.5. Obviously, I can't really tell whether I like the other love interests or not, so this is purely based on the Nightmare Prince and Victor. I think Victor brought it up quite a bit. If it was Victor alone, I'd probably give it like a 4.5, but I guess the Nightmare Prince kind of brought the score down a little bit because I did feel like he was sort of younger character, I guess. As I said, I did feel like Cupid watching over two teenagers fall in love in like a motherly kind of, oh that's sweet kind of way. And I just preferred Victor and Aureve because I don't know, I can't really, I guess I just liked seeing them work together as opposed to, you know, one kind of being hidden away and, you know, sort of, well, I mean, he had his reasons, so it totally makes sense, but you know what I mean. Music, it was so catchy. I was like doing chores while like humming it, and my boyfriend was like, what is that tune? And I would be like, it's the background music of an OTOME game I was playing. So it was really catchy, so I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. As for the art, I'm giving it a 3.5. I must say I was really impressed with the art quality. Not to, you know, diss indie OTOME games or anything like that, but quite a few indie OTOME games do sort of lack a little bit in the art, you know, section, purely because realistically speaking, the amount of money required for like extremely good sprites, sort of like AAA game level sprites and CGs, it costs so much. Like when people told me about how much it costs for like professional sort of AAA game level sprites and CGs, I was like, it costs that much? Like I was honestly so shocked. So considering that, I thought this game, they did a really good job with the sprites and the CGs. I thought, I was just, yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised. I know that sounds really rude of me. I honestly don't mean it like that. I'm just saying that realistically, the amount of money it costs to do AAA game level sprites and CGs is insane. So considering that, it like I was pleasantly surprised. So that's why I'm giving it a 3.5. As for the kind of romance levels, I would say about 73%. I'd say Nightmare Prince, it was a little bit lower, especially because for the first 3 quarters, I guess you don't really get to see him. It was really, there were sweet moments, but it was all very indirect, while I'd say Victor and Aureve, like in Victor's route, there are moments where I was like, oh god, like butterflies, and it's because they're shoujo manga-esque scenes that I thought was quite like cute, and yeah, it's just lots of romance in that route. But anyway, that kind of ends this video. Hopefully that gave you some insight on what Belle Automata is all about. As is always the case, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and hopefully I will see you in another one of my videos or streams. Bye!